Hello there. This is a really unplanned review live stream. I was debating whether to do this. See, the thing is, tomorrow I'm actually going away for quite a bit. I still don't know when I'm going to be able to do the review of the final episode, episode 10. I'll try my best to get it done as soon as possible. Until then, let's just review this episode, shall we? Remember Raising Gazorp? That funny episode where Rick and Summer go to the planet Gazorp. They find out the males are incredibly feral while the females are heavily evolved, which is supposed to be the joke. Well, we decided to have a replay of that. Morty Jr. is back. That's right. Morty's true son is back. And his firstborn. Let's try to forget about the space baby that him and Summer had. The less we know about them, the better. In this episode, apparently, Morty Jr. is in the hospital. You see, a Gazorp ages much quicker than an average human. As in, he's already reached an advanced age. Meanwhile, Rick and Summer have a reservation at a Pre-Cog restaurant. Did any of you ever watch the movie Minority Report? It's based on a book by Philip K. Dick. Starred Tom Cruise. In this case, people are being convicted of crimes they have yet to commit, because in all possible timelines, you are going to commit that crime. Oh, you didn't? Well, it's been 20 years. By the way, I'll give you a spoiler. Tom Cruise did commit the murder. It's been 20 years. In this episode, well, we end up having a bit of hijinks, because once you get into the restaurant, you're immediately served your food, which you were predetermined to take. Rick kind of got the exotic food he wanted, and Summer got avocado toast. Yeah, she was very disappointed by it. And apparently the Pre-Cogs didn't really care about her at all, which they later said. Interestingly enough, Rick kept warning Summer, like, don't get involved with them. Otherwise, you have to do your causality arguments. And whether the Pre-Cogs are forcing you to do something, or the fact that you were going to do it and all they're doing is calling you out on it. And the reality is, well, Summer, of course, decides to get involved with their BS and throws a pan at one of them, which beforehand, they accurately predicted that Summer Smith was going to attack one of them. And the cops were there immediately. However, they did offer to take him to a beachside resort where they would serve him an eclair, which, of course, Rick's like, well, they got my food, right? Let's go. Morty meets on the other storyline. Morty does meet Morty Jr. He's in a hospital bed, and Morty Sr. is now predicting that he's going to be dying. And spoiler, even though he's ill, he's actually in pretty good shape. Now, Morty Jr. is a quote unquote successful author. And he wanted to see his mother. The sex bot. Yeah, and they pretty much comment, this is just a robot that just collects semen and turns it into a baby. And apparently, because, well, it's broken, Rick decided to throw it into his trash can, or his dimension that's full of trash, which is run by the evil tyrant Salvagetron, which has a tower like Sauron from Lord of the Rings to manage over his garbage planet, and all his minions, for all intents and purposes, monitoring it. Now, Salvatron is supposed to find things of value. However, because Rick is a very harsh person, they just immediately say, well, the easiest way to deal is to declare everything doesn't have value, destroy anything it does. Easy way to deal with him. Apparently, Rick was also inventing things while drunk that makes absolutely no sense, like a sentient urinal. Of course, as we go on, we find out that Morty Jr. wrote the Enchanted Goblins series, a series of 7 books, which we find out he uses a lot of tropes all the time. Eventually, they meet up with the sex robot in the cemetery, and one of the robots that Rick invented decides to kidnap Morty while trying to kill Morty Jr. As the story goes on, obviously Morty Jr. actually gets repaired because should be noted that the Enchanted Goblin series, which is it's the garbage universe, obviously they wanted to get rid of it. The books that Morty Jr. put in became the Bible. So in other words, Morty Jr. here is a god. I think I should tell you, if you remember Raising Gazorpazorp, Morty Jr. is a best-selling author for writing the book My Horrible Father, describing how bad Morty, a 14-year-old boy, is at raising a son. Who knew, right? As we continue, we also find out that the whole reason why he wanted to go on his adventure with Morty Sr. is because he wanted to write a sequel to My Horrible Father. Because, once again, it was the only book that made a profit. What happens to a lot of tropey authors? You see, what happens is if you're writing something that somebody can write a narrative about, you will be pushed to the forefront. But as soon as you're done, they completely forget about you. I know we talked about Dan Brown earlier in an episode, in a review. Same thing kind of happened with him because at the time, people wanted to really bash the hell out of Christianity. So the Da Vinci Code became heavily popular. And as soon as Christianity's reputation took a turn for the worse, yeah, not a lot of people forgot. Not a lot of people stop reading Dan Brown. I think you tell you, Dan Brown wrote a lot of books, and not all of them involved the Da Vinci Code type material. And sadly, that's kind of what happened to him. Everyone just kind of lost use for him. And that's why I'm here with Morty Jr., who obviously wanted to bash Morty for some reason. So he became very popular. And why wouldn't they? I mean, they nearly got the planet wiped out by the in that reality show back in season 2. Uh, we'll go back to the first, the Pre-Cog storyline. Okay, they're at the resort, and Rick's enjoying himself. Summer is not. Summer decides to drug them all, and then takes them in a truck. And apparently, Summer's like saying that she's trying to help them. Of course, the Precogs know exactly where they want to be. They want to start a food truck. So they start. So while Rick is in a chase with them, they immediately give him like crazy instructions to Summer, like drive to that restaurant depot where you can pick up stuff, and eventually to start a food stand serving hot dogs. As here, of course, we find out that they really didn't care about Summer. They just gave her after comic shows just to shut her up. Back in our one, of course, the robot that kidnapped Morty, immediately trying to get back to the main dimension, gets captured by Salvatron and is eventually killed. And of course, Morty uses him as a shield. There's a funny exchange between Salvatron and Morty, saying, "That's not fair. Why are you hiding behind him?" I have to say this. Sorry. Charlie Day is a special voice, is a special guest in this episode. And he converts, and some people kind of a weird joke saying, well, he's a purveyor of trash. You can easily make a nice joke out of that. Eventually, Morty Jr. and Morty Sr. unite and lead a revolt against Salvatron, leading to his destruction. And here's where our plots emerge. I think I should tell you, Rick asked the Pre-Cogs, was anything we ever celebrated, was any of that real? And maybe like, do you really want to know? I don't think you do. Which Rick's like, yeah, I do want to know. As the new world that Rick's trash dimension has created, they rebuild it. Apparently, Morty's also tried getting back to the regular dimension. And apparently, since Rick really hates the Goonies, he's basically developed so you can't get back to the real world from the trash dimension. And it's here where the food truck with the Pre-Cogs comes in, as he immediately portals them right to the trash dimension as they start serving the land of misfit robots. Once Morty saw that the portal's open, of course he runs and tries to get out of there. Morty Jr. gets another book deal and writes the long-awaited sequel to My Horrible Father, in which you can get today in an airport. That's the other thing they brought up. Yeah, bookstores, for all intents and purposes, are pretty much gone. The only place you really buy a book is at an airport, which I'll be going to in the morning. This episode, kind of an interesting idea. Something from like season 4, I believe this would be from. It's quite entertaining. It's got some bit of hiccups. Sorry. Some of the jokes were funny, especially with Charlie Day. Pre-Cog is kind of a hit or miss when it comes to jokes. I also love the fact that we never brought up the fact that Morty Jr. is from another dimension, which means that this Morty Jr.'s father is dead, and that the Morty Jr. we're talking to is another Morty. Morty Sr. is a very bad father, isn't he? Anyway, I'm going to head out now. I got a flight in the morning. I'll do my best to get the 10th episode review up. Had quite a bit of fun reviewing these live streams all year. I'll see if I can do more in the fall. But until then, bye.